Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. Today we're diving into an event that is literally rewriting the rulebook of global sports, the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Now, it's really easy to just say the next tournament is getting bigger, but as we unpack the details today, you're going to see that this isn't just an expansion. It's a complete top-to-bottom overhaul of football history. We're talking about an unprecedented logistical undertaking that spans an entire continent, completely altering how teams qualify, how they travel, and ultimately how they play the beautiful game. Let's get right into it. So here's the core question we've got to ask ourselves right out of the gate. Is the world actually ready for the biggest World Cup ever? Because what we're looking at for 2026 is a massive paradigm shift. It's a total rethinking of how a global tournament even operates. We aren't just talking about slapping on a few extra games. We're looking at a geographical footprint and a massive influx of tourists that will absolutely test the infrastructure of three major nations simultaneously. Players, coaches, and us lifelong fans, we all have to fundamentally rethink how we approach a World Cup. To truly wrap our heads around the scale of what's coming, I've structured this explainer as a high-energy countdown of the top 3 craziest, most unprecedented changes heading our way. Grab your notebooks, because this is going to be a fascinating ride.
Kicking off our countdown at number 3, expanding the roster.
For decades, we've all been super used to a very specific tournament structure, right? A set number of teams fighting for the ultimate prize. Well, FIFA has completely torn up that script. For the first time ever in the history of the sport, the tournament is expanding to include a massive 48 national teams. 48! That is an enormous leap. But how do we actually get there? Well, this expansion completely transforms global qualifying campaigns by drastically increasing the guaranteed slots for confederations that historically, just had fewer entries. To put that in perspective, Africa and Asia, CAF and the AFC, are seeing their representation almost double. This means the qualification battles across those continents are totally transformed, finally offering a real pathway to nations that have spent decades just knocking on the door of the global stage.
Now, the old format, the one we all know and have memorized by heart, was capped at 32 teams. Pushing that boundary all the way to 48, it completely changes the tactical math of the entire tournament. We're now looking at 12 groups of 4 teams each, but here is the absolute game changer, the introduction of a brand new knockout phase, the round of 32. Because there are so many groups now, the top 2 teams from each group advance, plus the 8 best third-place teams. This alters the group stage strategy entirely. Think about it. A team might actually advance with just 3 points, or even a couple of strategic draws. For coaches, this is a massive tactical shift. Do you rotate your star players early, knowing third place might actually be enough? It introduces a whole new layer of complex risk calculation before the knockout stages even begin.
Moving right along to number 2 on our countdown, record-breaking matches.
Obviously, if you increase the number of teams, you inevitably have to increase the amount of football being played. And folks, we are officially entering record-breaking territory. 104 separate games of high-stakes international football will be played in 2026. 104! That's the most matches in tournament history. But the implications of 104 matches go way beyond just extra screen time for us fans. This is going to take a massive physical toll on the tournament structure itself. The whole event is going to stretch out over 39 days. On top of that, a team that actually reaches the final will now have to play 8 matches instead of the traditional 7. In the intense, incredibly high-pressure environment of international summer football, that extra game is going to be a grueling test of squad depth and endurance like we've literally never seen before.
Previous World Cup tournaments reliably gave us a standard 64 matches. Jumping from 64 to an unbelievable 104-match marathon completely reshapes the daily rhythm of the event. To fit all of these games into the schedule, broadcasters and host cities are going to have to accommodate an incredibly dense lineup. During the group stages, we could realistically be looking at up to 4, 5, or even 6 matches a single day. For those keeping track at home, that means more goals, more heated rivalries, and it guarantees way more unforgettable moments. But it also means I should probably issue a playful warning to football fans around the world right now. You should definitely expect a whole lot less sleep during that month. Seriously, pace yourselves, because the sheer volume of elite football coming our way is going to be absolutely relentless.
And coming in at the number 1 spot, 3 nations, 1 cup.
We've talked about more teams, and we've talked about an unprecedented number of matches, but the real climax of this countdown comes down to pure geography. For the very first time ever, the FIFA World Cup will be hosted by 3 countries at the exact same time: the United States, Mexico, and Canada. These 104 matches are going to be spread out across 16 different North American cities. Just think about the sheer scale of that continent for a second.
To solve this massive logistical puzzle, FIFA is implementing a regional pod system. The tournament will be divided into West, Central, and East regions. This is an absolutely crucial strategic move to ensure that teams and fans aren't taking exhausting cross-continental flights between Vancouver and Miami every 3 days. Teams will stay locked in their geographic clusters during the group stages, meaning this is less of a traditional tournament and honestly more of a meticulously managed continental football road trip.
Actually, before we wrap up, I want to pivot just a little bit. With all this talk about unprecedented innovation, regional pods, and 48-team structures, well, it's really important to ground these massive changes in a deep sense of football tradition. So I've got a special bonus fact for you today, and it centers on the incredible cultural importance of football in North America, specifically highlighting Mexico making absolute history.
By co-hosting this upcoming tournament, Mexico is officially becoming the first nation ever to host World Cup matches in 3 different tournaments: 1970, 1986, and now 2026. I mean, that isn't just a fun statistical milestone, that is a legendary legacy. The iconic Estadio Azteca in Mexico City will become the very first stadium on Earth to host matches in 3 separate World Cups. We're talking about the exact same pitch that witnessed Pelé cement his legacy with Brazil back in 1970 and where Diego Maradona scored the goal of the century in 1986. Bringing the 2026 tournament back to this sacred ground just beautifully bridges the expanded, modern chaos of the new format with the deepest, most revered roots of international football history.
So, let's recap. We have a grueling 8-match path to the final, navigating 104 games across 3 massive nations. The board is set for the most physically and tactically demanding tournament we have ever seen in our lifetimes, which leaves us with the ultimate question: who actually has the squad depth to take the 2026 trophy? Do defending champions Argentina hold on to their crown? Does a traditional European titan like France claim victory? Or, with 48 teams and this wild new knockout structure in the mix, do we see a complete surprise nation shock the world and take it all? I want to hear from you on this. We've looked at the data, we've seen the changing mechanics, now you make the prediction. Get down in the comments and let's debate the outcome. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll see you next time.